How you guys doing? This is Daniel. Wanted to do a brief overview video over a system that I think deserves some recognition, more than I've seen on YouTube. I haven't seen very many videos over the Mad Edge knife sharpening system. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of show some features that I like about it, why I think that it's a very good system for the price point. And the last time I checked, I believe the basic system, which that's what this one is around $130. I believe they have an upgraded system that has an integrated digital angle gauge incorporated into the knob and a display unit. This is not that, but honestly, I believe that what you lose in having that digital integration of the angle system or angle gauge, you gain for the price point. You're spending 130 bucks on, if I'm just gonna lay out the basic features that make this sharpener good for its price, I would say that it's almost complete all steel construction. There's some unique features about the actual clamping pieces that I think are unique to this sharpener. I think that's a great idea that I haven't seen on other sharpening systems. How heavy and stout the rotation mechanism is. And I'm gonna be honest, for 130 bucks you can only get so much. It's definitely a entry level knife sharpener. If this is the Gen 1 or Mark 1 unit, I believe that their next generation, if they polish some of the rough edges out of the system, I think that it can be pretty good performer. But even as is, for its price point, you're getting all steel construction, a solid rotational mechanism, a solid clamp system. Some of the things I dislike about it, I'll show you. I'll go ahead and just show portions I like and dislike. What I really like about the system is I have to rotate this around. But this brass portion, you can't see it, but it's has a hemispheric or domed shape on the other side. So when you tighten both halves down, it distributes the force or pressure evenly. So I believe it promotes a better or more even clamping forces on whatever you're clamping onto. I think it's really unique. I haven't seen on any other system. I think it's a good idea. These are all steel clamps. Yes, they are multi-piece, which, there's nothing wrong with that. I just prefer the whole milled clamps systems. But with that said, I'm not seeing any significant mismatch between the different portions of the clamp. And it seems, as far as I can tell, it clamps evenly onto the surfaces of the knife. At least I'm not seeing a large deviation from one side to the other. So I think they're solid. You can kind of tell that you can move this back and forth with that slot. What's kind of cool, what I found out is that TS Prof clamps, at least I believe they're Gen 3 clamps that they would clamp onto this surface. They work on this, and so I actually attached the TS Prof universal table onto this, and it worked, just to see if it would clamp on or not. So that's kind of something at least keep in mind. So that's kind of cool. By the way, this knife is it's a SE X-Pad, bushcraft style, heavy duty cleaver. Haven't really used it much, but I plan to. I want to chop up some firewood up, or do some heavy duty cleaving with it. I kind of ruined it, or at least the edge when I first got it. I used a belt sander when I didn't know what I was doing, and kind of just messed up the entire sharpening edge. And this is my attempt at trying to correct it using a fixed angle system, and so far it's working. And yes, I know that something like this that's going to go through heavy duty usage, it's not needed as far as I could have probably ended at 1,000 grit, but it's also, I just kind of want to see what it would look like, once it has a really wide polished bevel on it. You can kind of see it from there where it goes from the uh, belt grinder to the angled system. So yeah, pretty cool. The lift unit, it's basic. It has a fine adjustment knob in it, and it works. Um, so you can adjust your angle minutely. One portion that I think is really cool that I like about the system is that the brass bushing inside of there, there's little holes milled into it. I believe they're either to hold graphite, was their original intended usage, like a dry lubrication system, but they've incorporated it into this, and I believe it holds oil or lubrication better. So this just glides in and out. It's actually one of the better, um, you know, as far as linear back and forth action. It's very, very smooth. Tolerances are tight. Um, Overall, if I could say that there's one thing I wish they'll improve on the second generation of this, is this lift unit. I think this would be a very, very competitive system if they just improve this lift system a little bit more. Um, Work on some of the machining, maybe change out some of the components. But as is, it works. And it's consistent. It stays put when you lock it down, and that fine adjustment portion, it works. Um, One thing I think is kind of cool is that I don't know exactly how, but the rotation mechanism itself, I've been told you can compensate for wear. I'm sure it's by use of, you screw down probably one or two screws to compensate for whatever wear that you've incurred. Um, yeah, and it's for $130. That's why I keep saying, for $130, this is, I believe, a really solid choice. There's a few other sharpeners out there on the market that are around the $200 price point. One being the KME, which I think is an amazing system. I used to have one. Still think that's a great choice. I think there's something called like the Viper Sharp or something like that. It looks, I'm not gonna bash it. I would just watch Nick Shabazz's review of it because he was very honest and blunt. But if you're gonna spend, I believe it's like around $200 for that system. If you're gonna even think about buying something like that, please look into this for the KME. For $130, you're getting the 6x1 Edge Probe stone format. You're getting all steel construction, and other than trying to figure out the logistics of shipping from another country, because I believe this is coming from Ukraine, or I have to double check. But I'm sure that you'll have to pay extra in shipping. But all in all, it would come under $200, which I still think is a great, great deal for this. So yeah, right now I have the bevel set at about 20 degrees. I don't have the upgraded model, so I'm just using a manual or digital angle gauge. This actually, I only used it a handful of times. One of my friends told me about this. I usually use an AccuRemote digital angle gauge, but I really like the quality of it. It goes out to 2 decimal places for its resolution. The other system, this only goes out to 1. But I believe for what we're doing, it's plenty sufficient. Yeah, we're kind of picking at hairs. I don't think, that going out, to 2 decimal places is even necessary. But yeah, so I'm trying out this system. It's extremely lightweight compared to the other angle gauge I have. So that kind of helps when you're setting it on, the stone carrier. It's not adding excess weight onto it, so that's kind of cool. It just feels it's so light, it almost feels cheap. I'm not saying it is cheap because it's $40. Um, but yeah, I'm still kind of testing it out. That's what I use to set the angle on this. So yeah, I'm just gonna right now. I got a Edge Pro Diamond Matrix Stone loaded into the stone carrier. I've been extremely liking so far the Edge Pro Diamond Matrix Stones and the Venive OCB Diamond Stones with the new formulation. I think that's the next phase in stones. I mean, honestly, how aggressively they cut, combined with the finish that they leave, it doesn't match up. You would think that for how aggressively they cut, the finish would be much worse. But it's just like you're sharpening with a Chaucer waterstone. It leaves a very fine finish comparative for its grit level. So right now I'm using the 4000. That's the highest it goes for the Edge Pro Diamond Matrix stones. Highly suggest both types. And I'm just gonna do a quick demonstration. I'm taking this knife up. I think I'm gonna take it up to like 10,000 or something, just to see what it'll look like and see how sharp I can get it. Obviously, I know it's not needed for its blade geometry and what kind of knife its purpose, but I just want to see how wide and how sharp I can get the bevel. Highly suggest these. I got this on Amazon. You can tell it just leaves a really fine water mist, kind of distributes the water evenly. I'll try to find the link for that and let you guys know about it if you're interested, or just message me and I'll find it in my history. And just to heads up, this is my own. I just like using the plastic knob. This comes with a wooden knobbed stone carrier. I took that off and just used a simple one adapted from another sharpening system, just for ease of use, but mainly because I like using plastic knob. There's nothing wrong with the matte edge stone carrier. I just prefer having a smaller knob like this, just easier for me to manipulate. You can kind of hear the springs banging back and forth on the rear of the system, but the actual bushing to rod, there's barely any noise. It's just very smooth. One thing that's pretty cool about that, it's so light that you can change and pivot it as you get accessing different portions of the blade edge. So it's kind of similar to like an Edge Pro, only instead of moving the knife around, you're moving the actual system around, but you're not changing any portion of the geometry. So I think that's kind of a unique, pretty cool, just because how light this is. Its rotation mechanism, very stout. It's heavy duty. It's crude in some aspects, the system itself, but it is built very well in terms of how stout. Just steel construction. Just a heavy duty, affordable sharpener, and I believe it deserves more recognition. That the company deserves more recognition than what they've been getting. And I'm just talking about in terms of I don't really see many YouTube videos about the system, so I just wanted to kind of spread my opinion about it. I use Sharpie on this side. You can kind of see how wide the bevel is just from how much Sharpie's getting taken off. I definitely know the bevel shouldn't be that wide, but trying to correct what I've already done, the damage I've done with the belt, when I didn't know what I was doing. The bevel just ended up being this wide. Trying to correct the really is like hyper convex and uneven. So this was my attempt at trying to correct it, and I had to use a Venive 60 grit and 80 grit stone for a while to take off enough steel. But once I got there, it's been sharpening pretty. At least stones, up to 1,000 grit, and up to 4,000 right now. it's been sharpening pretty consistently, as in the bevel hasn't changed thickness very much from the first stone I used. Yeah, you can kind of tell too, like the system being, you can tell the stone carrier is almost horizontal. I really think that allows it to, I think, move in and out really quickly without, it doesn't add any kind of weird angle to add different pressures. So you can kind of tell I can move this pretty quickly with pretty little effort. Let's see how that turned out. Kind of try to get a close-up of that. Don't know if this will work or not, but we'll see. Don't know if the lighting's right in here. But yeah, you can kind of see that the bevel, being as wide it is, it's getting up to that mirror surface. That uneven kind of bevel that you're seeing, a lot of it's me trying to correct the damage it did from the belt. But yeah, so far it's come out pretty good. I have a lot more work I have to do to this, but I just kind of wanted to display what I can do so far, and what I'm looking for. What, regardless of the price point, I want to make sure that's consistent from stone to stone. As in, when I'm going up in progression, I want to make sure that I'm not sharpening different portions of the bevel. I want to make sure that it's universal and even amongst the entire surface of the bevel. And so far, the system, it's been able to produce it. Yeah, again, I've been pretty happy with it so far. Definitely great for the money. Believe that if you just Google Mad Edge, I don't know the exact website off the top of my head, but if you Google Mad Edge knife sharpening, and I believe that they have a Facebook presence and a social media presence, you can probably get a hold of them from there too. I believe the base price for the model that I'm showing, minus some of the, I have a different stone carrier and whatnot, but I believe the system's around $130, which is great. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to send me a message through my YouTube account or send me an email. I'll be definitely able to point you in the right direction if you're looking for one of these systems, or at least get you in touch with the right people that can sell you one of these. And if you have any other questions, or want to see anything more about the sharpener, feel free to leave it in the comments. Yeah, I'd be happy to try to help you guys out if you're interested in anything about this sharpener. So I appreciate you guys, staying tuned and watching, and stay tuned for more content. Just been kind of busy lately, but it's really exciting releasing new videos and seeing so many, in my eyes, a lot of views from people and people leaving comments and whatnot. So I appreciate all of you guys that are subscribed and watching videos of mine. Really means a lot. I really appreciate it. So, all right, thank you. Bye.